Uh, Good morning, everyone. Uh, okay, so what was the last discussion in our previous class? What was the last problem we have solved or we were solving in the previous class? Yes. Can anyone tell about the last which we discussed in the previous class?
Free float, sir. Second problem.
Second problem on free float, is it right?
Yes, sir.
So did we complete it?
No, we finished till free float for activity 3-5.
Still, how many more activities are remaining?
3 more activities.
3 more activities. Fine. So just continue from there. Okay. Can you give me the list of activities and their early start, early finish?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes.
1-2, 2-3,
Okay.
3-5,
Okay.
2-4,
2-4. Okay.
4-5,
Okay.
2-5.
2-5. Okay. Early start.
0, 0,
Early
14.
starting. Just a minute. 2-3. 14
Early
is
start.
no. It was not audible.
Early start for 2-3 is 14.
14. Okay. And okay. 2-3 is how much?
14.
14. Okay. 3-5.
21.
21.
14.
Okay.
18.
Okay.
14.
14. Okay. And next, early finish.
14.
14. Okay.
21.
Okay.
41.
Okay.
18.
Okay.
33.
Okay. The last
26.
20.
6.
26. Okay. And thank you. And can you just tell me the free float calculated in our previous class?
One dash two is 0.
1-2 is 0. Okay. 2-3 is also 0, I guess. Correct.
41.
3-5 is
41.
3-5 free float. I think this we were supposed to do. Is it right? We are supposed to solve
Yes.
free float for 3-5. Okay, so we'll continue from here. Okay, so did we write any explanation in the last class for this 3-5 activity?
Yes, sir.
Can you just read out what was the explanation written for anyone? What was the explanation for 3-5 free float, which we have written in the previous class? The first thing is we have, yes.
Free float for 3-5. And 3-5, 4-5, 2-5. Three
Okay.
activities.
3 activities actually finished. One was 3-5, another is 2-5, and another is 4-5. Okay. Now, what was the explanation written?
We consider the maximum.
No, can you just repeat it once again?
We consider the maximum.
Okay.
The early finish of 2-5 is equal to 226.
Okay. Okay. So the early finish of 2-5 2-5 is 26.
26.
Correct. And the early finish of 3-5 is how much? 41, I guess. 41. The next one is 33. And the early finish of 4-5 is 33. Okay. So this we have written in our previous class. Okay. The next explanation is that determining the early start for the activity that starts from the 5th node. Okay, so how do we determine the early start for? So this is the continuation of the problem, but if we have to continue with the problem, we have to first determine what is the early start for the node. How do we determine that? That is the thing, but the maximum value for the early finish is 41. Okay, that is among the 3 values, that is 26, 41, and 33. 26, 41, and 33. Therefore, the early start for any activity that starts from the fifth node will be equal to 41. Okay. So if there is any doubts, you can ask, or if you want to go back to the previous screen, just let me know. Any doubts here? So just make note of this. So this we have explained it in the previous class. That's nothing but the earliest possible finish, the earliest possible duration by when we can finish an activity is 41 days. That means by 41st day, we may have completed all the 3 activities. Okay. That is the reason we are going to consider 41 as the early start for the next act. That is any activity that starts from the 5th node. Okay. So I assume that everyone has made note of this. If anyone has not made note of this, you can just ask me to go back to the previous screen. Okay. So once this is done, we have this 3-5 activity. We were supposed to determine the free float for 3-5 activities. This is the present activity, and there is no next activity. Correct? So free float for 3-5 activity is equal to early start for the next activity. Early start for the next activity. Okay, that is the activity that starts from the fifth node. Minus early finish of the present activity. Early finish of the present activity. How much will that be? Early start for the next activity. How much is the early start for the next activity? It is the activity that starts from the fifth node.
41.
41. And what about the early finish of the current activity?
41.
That is also 41, correct? And so that is the reason answer is going to be 0. That's right. If anyone has not understood this, you can ask. There is nothing wrong in asking, because even your senior batch students, they had asked a lot many questions on this regarding the understanding of the concept of a free float, so on and so forth. So if anyone has not understood, I can explain this again. Okay. Yes, so make note of this and calculate the free float for this 3-5 activity. I'm going for the next screen. Okay, so I'm going for the next screen. If anyone wants me to go back to the previous screen, you can just tell me. Free float for 3-5 will be equal to 41 minus 41, that is equal to 0. Okay, so we have completed almost 3 activities, I suppose. What is the next activity? Free float for calculation of the free float for. What is the next activity?
2-4.
Dash. So can you just try this? Try to solve this, or let me solve this. Let's solve this problem, and possibly the next problem you can solve it by yourself. Okay. So 2-4 activity. What is the next activity after 2-4? What should come next?
4-5.
Yes, 4-5. Correct. Right. This is the next activity. That's right. So here, what we are supposed to do, we have to determine the free float. Possibly in this screen, it is not possible. Okay, so what is early finish for 4-5? Early start, sorry. Early start for 4-5.
18.
18. And early finish for 2-4.
18.
Both are 8.
Yes.
All right. So answer should be how much?
0.
Answer will be 0. If anyone is not understanding, just let me know, because free float based on this calculation itself, the group project is also conducted. Okay. So each group is supposed to do a project on network analysis itself. Each of the group has to come up with the calculation of all the early start, early finish, late start, late finish, and all the float calculation. Okay. So still I have not told what each of the group is supposed to do regarding the group project. Once this topic is finished, I will mention as to what is to be done in the group assignment. Okay. So free float for 2-4 is equal to early start for 4-5 minus early finish for 2-4. So how much should be the answer here? You said it is 17 minus 18 minus 0. Free float for 2-4 is 0. Which is the next activity after this? 2-4. After 2-4, what is the next activity for which we are supposed to calculate free float?
4-5.
4-5. So again, there is no next activity after 4-5. There is no activity that starts from the fifth node. Again, the same type of calculation you have to consider. Okay, so I'm going for the next screen. Yes. So free float calculation for 4-5. There are no activities starting from the fifth node. Therefore, we calculate the early start for any activity starting from the fifth node as below. Okay. So it is nothing but it is the same calculation like what we have done before. Okay, only that we have to compare the three activities, the early finish of the three activities, and whichever is the maximum, that will be the early start for the activity that starts from the fifth. So what should be the early start for the activity that starts from the fifth node? It is nothing but what we have done in the previous calculation. It's the same thing. Okay. So we have to consider the early finish for all the activities that finishes on the fifth node. And the one that is maximum will be considered as the early start for the activity that starts from the fifth node. Okay. So if anyone wants me to go back to the previous screen, just let me know. So 3 activities. This is on yes. Anyone wants me to go back to the previous screen?
Sir, can you go back to your screen?
This is the one.
Yes. Sir. Done.
Done.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Yes. I hope everyone has finished writing this screen. 3 activities finishes on the 5th node. The 5th node. They are 2-5, 3-5, and 4-5. The early finish of these 3 activities are after the early finishes of these 3 activities. One is 41. What is the early finish of
26.
2-5? 2-5. What is the early finish of 2-5?
26.
2-5 is 26. Okay. Next, 3-5, 31.
33.
33 for 4-5. So write this as respectively. So the maximum early finish value is equal to 41. Okay. Therefore, the early start for any of the activity that starts from the 5th node is equal to 41. In this case, we are calculating the early start for 4-5, the free float for 4-5. So accordingly, we are supposed to do the calculation. So 41 will be the early start for the activity that starts from the 5th node. All right. So I'm going for the next screen. Okay. So free float for 4-5 activity is equal to early start for the activity that starts from the 5th node minus early finish of 4-5 activity. So what will be the values here? Early start for the activity that starts from the 5th. What will be the value for this early start?
Twenty-six, 41, 33.
41 minus 26. Early finish for 4-5. I think it was 33. Is it right?
33.
33.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. 33. So answer is how much? 8. Correct. I hope everyone are getting the same answer. So in case everyone has understood this, just calculate the next one. That is for 2-5. And simultaneously, if anyone has any doubts, you can ask. So has anyone calculated the free float for 2-5? Has anyone calculated the free float for 2-5? This will be the early start for the activity that starts from yes. So what should be the node here? From which node? What should be the node number?
5.
From 5th node. And early finish of 2-5. So what is the answer or the calculation? Early start 41. Early finish of 2-5.
26.
6. Free float is 50. That means what? If we assume that any of the activity that starts from the 5th node starts at the earliest possible date, and if we assume that the activity 2-5 finishes as soon as possible, okay, in that case, the project manager will have a total delay of 15 days. Okay, a total delay of 15 days will be there. All right. So those who have already completed solving this, can you tell me, is there any problem where we have solved the early start and early finish? Did we solve early start and early finish for any problems? previously in the previous class. Why I am asking this is because for the same problem we can calculate the free float, because the 15 more minutes is there. So I think we can have another practice problem, and we can solve a problem on free float. So in the previous class, have we solved any problems on early start and early finish?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So for 1 minute, I will keep this as it is. And when I go to the new screen, just let me know about that particular problem. We'll solve free float for that particular problem. Okay, I'm going for the next screen. Okay, tell me the problem activity. How many activities were there? That problem?
7.
Okay. Okay. So tell me these 3 columns values.
1 dash 2,
Okay.
2 dash 3,
Okay.
3 dash 4,
Okay.
4 dash 7,
Okay.
2 dash 6,
Okay.
6 dash 7, 7 dash 8.
7 dash 8. Okay. Fine. Let's start.
0, 10,
Early finish is 10. Correct? Okay.
10, 35,
Okay.
35,
3 dash 4 is 35. Okay.
60,
Okay.
60, 90,
Okay.
10, 12, 12, 14,
Okay.
90, 92.
Okay. This was, I think, related to conference program. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So calculate the free float. Calculate the free float for so I think we can calculate free float for activity activity 1 dash 2, 3 dash 4, 2 dash 3 also. Uh, or else we'll calculate for all the activities. Let us know. Why? Because all the activities has unique ending node. For all okay, so find out the free float for all these activities. So okay, try this free float by yourself and get me the answer for 1-2 activity. So free float for 1-2. So what is the next activity after 1-2?
2-3
2-3 is the next activity.
and 2-6.
Two activities are there, is it right? 2-6. All right. So these both are considered as the next activity itself. All right. So what is the early finish for 1-2?
10.
Early start 2-3.
10.
Both of them it is 10 itself. That is
Yes.
correct. So there is no possibility that this will change. Both the values will be equal. So free float for 1-2 is equal to 10 minus 10. Answer is 0. The first value is 0. That means what? We are assuming that the first activity 1-2 will finish as soon as possible. We are assuming that the next activity also starts at its earliest possible date. Okay. So in that case, the project manager will not have any delay. Okay. And the project manager has to start this activity on time by spending more money or by some means. Okay. But the project manager has to see that the work starts on time. So this is the second activity after 1-2.
2-3.
Free float for 2-3. Okay. So in this case, after 2-3, which activity follows 2-3?
3-4.
3-4. The early start of 3-4. What is the early start for 3-4?
35.
5. And early finish for 2-3.
35.
Okay, both are 35 itself. It's called as present activity. And this is called as the next activity. So free float for 2-3 is equal to 35 minus 35. Answer is 0. So after 2-3, what is the next activity? Third activity,
3-4.
3-4 itself is the next activity. Okay. And what will be the free float for that?
Zero.
That is also going to be 0 itself. Okay. Okay. So if anyone wants me to go back to the previous screen, just let me know. Currently, I'm going ahead. So free float for 3-4. So 3-4, what is the next activity after 3-4?
4-7.
4-7. What is the early start for 4-7?
60.
Early finish for 3-4?
60.
Okay. Therefore, we float for 3-4 activity is equal to 60 minus 60. I hope I'm not going fast. I'm not writing fastly. If anyone wants me to go back to the previous screen, and if there is any clarification, right, you can ask. Okay. But since this is online class, I cannot make out the understanding by the student. So if there is any questions, at least mention that in the chat box so that I can revert back. Okay. So these are the different calculations. So how many more activities are pending? 4, I guess, is it right?
Yes, sir.
4 more activities. Okay. So that will continue in the next class. Yes. So possibly somewhere around in another 2 weeks or so, you may have the first session on operational research. Exact date I will just let you know about operational research. Okay, but whatever it is, just be prepared and start preparing. And also the videos I will be uploading it as soon as possible. Correct. I think a few of the videos I have already uploaded, but I think I have not sent the link of the same the group. So just you can go to the YouTube and you can search for the classes online class, or else you can just wait until I upload those online classes, the record class. Okay. All right. So we'll conclude for today's class, and the class years. Just send me the list of absent. Thank you.
Okay, sir.